Hi everyone and welcome. Now I've written down here on my notes how to make a fresh Christmas French inspired table arrangement using ivy, rosemary, holly and succulents. Does that sound like a long title? It is a bit. So how about if I just said today I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful table arrangement that could be suitable for Christmas, or it could be really lovely for something for a wedding. It's really easy to construct, and if you're anything like me, you don't want to spend a lot of money, and I think that you shouldn't need to spend a lot of money when you're creating things. And if you haven't got a garden, but you've got a neighbourhood or a friendly neighbour, you could always put your hand over the fence or jump over the fence or kindly knock on the door and ask them. So everything that we're going to do today is really quick and easy to do, and it doesn't involve a lot of, you don't have to be very clever to make this because I've made it really simple for you. So let's just go through what I'm going to use. I've just got a white cake plate, and I quite liked when I'm doing things to, instead of having it on the surface of your table, what I like to do is to just lift it up a little bit so that it gives a bit of height and a bit of elevation, and it actually makes it look a little bit bigger than what it is. I've also got some baby tears over here. You could use moss if you didn't have them. I've got a candle. I've got this really lovely sort of cut glass lamp that I thought would be lovely to include in with it. I've got a bird. I've got a little nest. I've got some of this beautiful spider plant, which I really love at the moment. I've got some nice succulents. I've also made these little leaves. Just refer back to the earlier clips on how to make these vein leaves, which were actually I made them initially for hanging in a car with fragrance on it. I've got some other succulents over here. As I said, I've got some holly, some ivy and some rosemary. Right, to begin, let's just get rid of those notes. Now, if you haven't got any moss, if you've got moss, just do exactly what I'm going to do with the baby's tears. And I really love these little things. And but before I start, what I've got here is green foam wreath, which I've soaked into water because I'm going to be using fresh things. The other thing that I've found really, really lovely when I'm using the wet oasis is with the baby tears, they actually start to grow, which is lovely. So you can have a base that will continue to grow on. It has got a little bit of dirt on there, but don't worry about that because I'll get rid of it in due course. So I've got long, lovely strips here. They've got little bits of leaves in, but I'm going to leave those on there because they will actually add to the sort of like the little woodlandy, sort of like a organic impression I want to have, or visual when I'm finished. So just stick those all over there like that. If you find that you need to just anchor it in, just get some florist wire and make little clips and stick those around into it. Right, from there I'm going to use the ivy first. Oops, I haven't got very much of this because I didn't think I was ever going to use ivy again, and I pulled it out. So as I said, if you've got a neighbour that's got a bit of holly, a bit of ivy or anything that you need, just ask, or just help yourself in the dark like I do. Right, so I'm just going to circle that around there, and I do need some little bits of wire. You could even use hair clips if you didn't have any wire, and then just push that into there, and this will help to keep everything in its place. And I've got another nice bit here somewhere. There it is. You don't need, and the other thing is with this, you don't really need very much. Now if you are getting married and you're looking for something that would be lovely as a table display, then these could be made up a couple of weeks in advance so that the little baby's tear gets to grow, and to just give it a little bit of a shunt along, just keep it moist, and it will continue to grow for you. And I love the little baby's tears look, this stuff is fantastic. It just grows everywhere. Right, with that I'm going to put a little bit of rosemary. I love this stuff, and it's so easy to grow, just even from a cutting, just stick it into the ground. Right, that's a nice big thick bit there. Just cut that on the slant and then get a nice clean neat piece to place into there, and then I'm going to actually bring this up onto the top, pushing those into there like so, and where that is sort of taking on a life of its own, just bring that up into there and clip that into place as well. Stay there. If it does, oh, it's not going to stay. Don't you just hate that when it does that? Push that up into there and you will stay. Thank you. Oops, okay. Oh, well, that can just twist out there, I don't care. And then because I've done that there, I'm going to bring this around and into here so that it fully encircles the circumference of the wreath, with some bits around the sides and some bits onto the top. Now that can go up to there. Those little bits I'm going to just that's not going to do as it's told, so I'll just cut that bit off. Right, I've got little bits of holly here, and I'm just going to cut those bits down. When you're cutting into this, like, you're not always going to get a nice little bit of growth like the tip up the top here. So what I do is I just go into here, and when I'm cutting, I go in as close as I can to the next lot of berries, and then just slant cut that, and hopefully it looks like it hasn't got that blunt end on it. Right, these can just be pushed in around the sides here. So as I said, you don't really need very much. And when I'm placing, I always sort of like imagine an imaginary line through the middle of any design that I'm doing. And what I do on one side, I repeat on the other, just to keep a little bit of uniformity. Now I've got that little tippy bit there, which doesn't actually go with what I've done. So I really would like to have some little thick bits in here, but I don't have any, so we'll just have to put it like that so that they're all sort of kind about the same size and dimensions. But just remember that in nature, nothing's perfect, so don't worry about it. I've also got some nice little branches here that I thought would be quite nice for my little woodland effect. I'll put that up into there, and I've only got two, so I'll put one there and then bring this over to this side. This, you don't really need to put those in, but I thought that they were quite nice. Now I'm going to put the candle into here, make sure that that surface is nice and flat, and I'm going to try this for size to make sure that it's right, but I really love this cut glass. Put that over the top like so, so that is in place now. And just give it a wee push down into the foam and into the foliage so that it is sitting. And I do think it's a really good idea if you're using candles with flowers, if you do have a little bit of protection around them, especially if you're using artificial forms or dried forms, just to make sure that you're a little bit safe and you don't have any fires. Right, with my little bird's nest, I'm going to put this in now, and I've just put a little bit of wire around there, and I'm just going to push that down and up into there. And I've got a little bird, and I think that birds should always go with the nest. So I'll just put that into there. This would be lovely for children to get involved doing. Now I've got some nice succulents here, and these, just clean off any of those little rooty bits that are hanging around, and then to get those to stay into there, I'm just going to use a satay stick, or you could use a toothpick, and then just push those into there. And as I said, if you've got a wedding coming up, and you could seriously do this a couple of weeks in advance so that it's out of the road. So I've got one over that side, and I'll bring one into here, and I've got this little one here. Just don't like those little bits. Push that into there. And the other thing is that where those little roots are, this will actually grow, which is fantastic. So put that into, hold on, put that into there, and I need just one more to come in this side, pushing that into there, and then that can just sit down into there, and it's really easy using this foam. Now I've got these little ones here, and with those, what I'm going to do is I'll just, the wire's not really heavy enough, but it will be okay. Get rid of those little bits, and then just stick the wire right through there like that. Bring that down, and I've used a 22 gauge wire because these are quite delicate. And then that can just go into there like that, sticking into there. And I'll repeat around the other side. So look how easy this is. And you know, if you are getting married and you're looking for something that's a little bit sort of natural and woodlandy, get your bridesmaids around, or your aunts and mums or whatever, and just have a craft noon is what we call them here in New Zealand, and get them all to help you put them together. So I've got a little succulent there, I'll put another little one into there, and the other thing that I've got are these gorgeous leaves here that I've already told you about. And with those, I'm just going to sort of nestle those in a little clustered group down in there, and I put another one round there, and then round by this little area around in here. I'm just going to push, hopefully that sits into there, and then another one with it. I always like 2 or 3 together. And then with this, which I absolutely love, this spider plant, little bits of that can be stuck into the moss like so, just to give it another dimension. I'll only put 2 pieces in, I think. So I've got one bit over there, and then I'll bring another bit into there like so. And if you were wanting to use this for a wedding and you wanted to put some flowers into it, what I would use the main flowers that you've got in your wedding bouquet and just stick those into there. I'm using artificial, and I use lots of artificial forms because I can't always get what I want, and I just sort of, whoops, figure that, you know, from a distance, who knows, but for today's demonstration I don't think that it's going to hurt, is it, to just have a few of these in around here. So I'll put another one into there, and I might just put one more down into there, but it's just a random thing wherever you wanted to put them. So there you are. You could possibly put more into there if you wanted, but for now that will be fine. And then if I was doing these on a table, what I would do is I'd have the leaves falling down, but anyway I'll clean it up so as you can see what it looks like finished. I hope I've been of assistance for those looking for something for Christmas for their table, or something for their tables if they're getting married. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you another day.